No matter what you do, narcissists will always betray you. This is why. This is because they erroneously believe themselves to be superior to you. Narcissists have an incredible, unwarranted sense of superiority, and that's primarily what we'll be discussing right now. How and why narcissists frequently view themselves as superior to others is the topic at hand today. Why do narcissists pretend to be so much smarter and better than they actually are? When they're wrong, why can't they just admit it? Please consider subscribing to my channel if you found this video entertaining or informative. I don't mean someone who is just occasionally irritating or self-centered when I use the term narcissist. Narcissists care exclusively about themselves and their interests and desires. It's tragic, but increasingly fewer and fewer people care about one another. They take criticism poorly, are often jealous, and believe that everyone else should share their feelings. In general, envy drives people to compete with one another. People who are accomplished, intelligent, or have done things that can harm the egos of others are often referred to as narcissistic wounds. These wounds can be caused by anyone, including random people, significant others, employees, and even one's own children. As a result, many instances of one-upmanship, in which one person tries to outdo another, occur. They can't change for the better, so they try to bring others down instead. The following are some of the most typical strategies employed by narcissists in their quest to elevate the perceived value of themselves over that of others. These are regular occurrences for them. So, to start, they lie when they talk about how smart and skilled they are. Narcissists can try to make the degree of the person they're talking to seem less important by saying that their own degree was more important or took more work. Or they might just say they have at most 3 or 4 degrees. They may also say that they are fully qualified if they have certain skills, which is usually the case. They might say they are a qualified forklift driver, electrician, or neurosurgeon, for example. If a narcissist doesn't know much about the subject, they might be tempted to make up an answer to a question in order to look like they do. But if they're talking to someone who knows a lot about the subject, they might switch gears quickly. Now, if they are challenged or told they are wrong about something, they might get very defensive and violent. The problem starts when they are faced with facts or questioned by a manager or supervisor at work, and they say they were misinformed, lied to, or made to look stupid. Has nothing to do with how little they know. The second thing they do is use words to try to show how smart they are. When talking about the weather outside, some people may use the word precipitation to mean the same thing as rain. Have you ever noticed that narcissists tend to sprinkle their talk with words they think are smart? Some of the words they might use to explain what they mean are literally, logically, and still. They might also use a lot of technical terms that only experts will understand. Someone who doesn't understand the subject can't make a good point about it. They sometimes hear words that they find intellectually stimulating. They know what these words mean, but they use them in strange and funny ways. When other people don't understand what the narcissist is saying, the narcissist may say that they are too stupid to understand such simple ideas. Third, they only hang out with people who are as smart, rich, famous, and well-liked as they are, and they act like they are part of this exclusive group. This could be an example of something that might happen at the office. You may have noticed that one of your coworkers always talks to the boss or other important people at work. People on the same level as them might seem rude to them. Some employees may even try to act like managers by giving orders, delegating work, checking in for progress reports, and even deciding when their teammates can take lunch. 4. The inclination to take charge. They are in charge of projects and step up when something goes wrong. This could mean giving someone advice about their legal situation, even though the narcissist doesn't know much about law, or helping them with their medical problems, even though they don't know much about medicine. Some of the things they might tell you are how to deal with a bothersome neighbor or where to look for a good house to buy. Even though they always say they don't know what's best, sometimes they do. Most of the time, though, they just like being able to convince people and hearing their own voices. If what they tell you works, they can finally say, "I saved you." If things aren't as bad as they thought, they might say, "Well, I was working behind the scenes to save you." If things don't go as planned, they may try to say, "Well, I never said that," or "You didn't do it the way I told you to." They might even make a disaster happen just so they can save the day. If they start telling stories about one person to another, they might have to keep a fight from happening between the two people. Fifth, their advice is rarely right, and there is always something wrong with it. They'll come up with a better idea or figure out how to do it. Or if they hear something that could be useful, they might say it again, but in a slightly different way, as if it were their own. In other words, if all the people in the group agree on the idea or concept. They might look for problems that aren't there or that aren't important. Instead, they might ask for a small change just to feel like they are making a difference. Sixth, narcissists may say they are very sensitive to how other people feel and back up their claims with tests or scientific evidence. On a scale of how much they cared about others, they did well in online tests. They may have been told by a therapist that they were worrying too much. It's possible that they would have a very high IQ. One more test showed that it was true, but if you pay close attention, you'll notice that no one ever sees them take these tests or finds out the results. Narcissists will use these tests to exaggerate their achievements, qualities, and willingness to help others. Or they'll use the results to prove how great their job is and say that their relationship or even their own kids are holding them back. 7. No matter what they do, they won't change their minds because it would hurt their fragile egos too much. If a character gave up and stopped trying, it would show what they were weak at. It could show weakness, a flaw, or a mistake. When it comes to other people, they often use and take advantage of the same strategies. When they were criticized or asked a question, they might laugh in a condescending way, roll their eyes, wave their hand, or just say no. The evidence that is right there in front of them doesn't matter. Most of the time, narcissists take a personal stance and attack the person instead of their argument or point of view. To do that, you might have to point out the other person's flaws, no matter how long ago they happened, and say bad things about their company, their age, and how they look. It's common to say something general about someone by putting them in a category that already exists. In order to hurt their competitor, they will always try to discredit them. Think of yourself as a scientist. What about an attorney? No matter if the other person is a lawyer or a scientist, having a high grade in a subject isn't enough. They always look for flaws in the other person's argument or position because of their cognitive bias. Some people think it's easier to attack others than to protect themselves. Narcissists can also try to trick other people on purpose. They often exaggerate, lie, and sometimes even get angry. That would be easier to do than admitting you don't know something or that you're wrong. The fact that someone else is right, has more success, or has done more shows that they are bad, dishonest, or take advantage of others. Or it could turn into a party for the host to feel sorry for himself. They could have done great things, but they settled for less, didn't get the chance, or were held back in some other way. A person with pathological narcissism rarely grows up because they aren't usually open to new ideas or experiences. They also have fragile egos, which makes it hard for them to give any kind of ground without looking weak. Most people usually make things even harder for themselves, trying to improve their looks by making themselves look silly all the time. These are 7 things narcissists do to make other people think they are better than them. I could have said a lot more about this, of course. Feel free to leave a comment with your thoughts. If you liked this video and thought it was helpful or informative, please consider subscribing to my channel so you can get more information about mental health issues in the future. Please keep an eye out for more news.